TaxAct understands you haven't memorized the tax code. That's why TaxAct has live experts to help. TaxAct can even do it for you if you prefer. It's the easiest way to know you're doing it right. Well, other than going back to college and obtaining a bachelor's degree in accounting with a minor in finance, then interning somewhere and becoming fluent in all tax forms. But that might be hard to accomplish before tax day. So maybe just stick with TaxAct. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
My friends, we're talking about, I still think the greatest story, bar none, is I mean, it's tragic. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a great story. But you, oh my God, how you come up with this stuff? And by the way, people are getting constantly, they said, can we possibly get a transcript of Matt Blaze on the history of the ring, the ring buzzer? And I said, yes, we can. You know, I was thinking about you the other day about the people who in their communities are saying, why did they call it the funny bonus? Excuse me. Hi, listen, this is not an open forum. This is ring related. Stop it. I'm just lonely.
Did you see my cat?
Do you remember the old days of CB radio? There were communities. And I got into this by accident. It was the first time I really got into radio. And I don't know. It was like in high school. I had one in my car. And my father's friend said, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to put up an antenna outside your room. This thing was like 50 feet tall. It was like this huge antenna. And just a little power unit. So you take your unit from the car, you plug it in. And at night, it was clear as a bell. I mean, and I came up with this idea, this name, the Bionic Nose Picker. To this day, I have no idea how I got this. At the Nasal Destroyer Base. Got it? Naval, got it. Anyway. So I said one day, they said there was a group of them, they were meeting at this little park. I said, am I a loser or what? I said, yes, I want to go. Because I kind of knew these people. And it was fun. It was like radio, kind of, sort of, maybe. It was the biggest thing. Remember how big there were the 40s, and they had linears and C.W. McCall, and anyway.
Especially in Florida.
Oh, but they talked about nothing. They talked about getting up and going to bed. Well, we're going to get between the sheets. We're going to go up with this. I'm going to knock the bottom off of this. 73rd seat, your troubles be small. And if you walk 10 feet far. Just go. They wouldn't just go. Everything was a production. Going to bed was pulled between the sheets and get some meds to disease. So they slept and talked about sleeping. So I went to this event. I thought, I am the biggest loser. I hope nobody sees me. So as I'm there, they said, sign in. I said, I'm not going to sign in. And I heard somebody say, you know who I said, well, maybe I should. So I heard somebody say, you know who's here? The Bionic Nose Picker. And I thought to myself, this is so sad. I've hit fame. And these people showed up under like this pavilion in a park where they bring some, weenies but it was one of those groups of people that that were fast. It was a group I was in. Then I was into a group of a friend of mine who he was a guy cut my hair years ago. He said, have you ever, he was very religious, it was like during, not Jesus freak, but Jesus and Christianity. He said, would you, he gave me a Bible and it was all written in. So whenever I walked around with it, it's like, wow, this guy's got all this stuff writes and I kept all the little Post-it notes. So I went to these events and they said, come on over. I said, whatever. And it was wonderful. So I'm hanging around these Christians. I mean, really hardcore. I don't have the heart to tell them I'm not into this at all, but I like the community. It's another community I was in. That was that. Okay. So I got the CB radios. I've got the Born Agains. And then I got into something which is the wildest thing ever. One time my mother bought this stuff called Amway. I said, what is this stuff? Do you get it? No, you don't buy it at the store. You buy it through people. She says, I said, how much are you spending on this thing? Because we had a distributor or a dealer. I said, why the hell don't I sell it? I get you a discount. I'm not going to sell it, but How tough could it be? So I did. The next thing you know, people want to say, "Are you excited?" I'm like, "What? Excited? Hi, we're Bill and Edna Hathaway, and we're excited. We're double directors." Look, I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. What are you excited about?" So I went to one of these events. It was an Amway event. It was like a Bund meeting. Flags, America, you can do it. So help me God, if they would have told me storm the Bastille. So I was into that group for a while. Then I got into, this was later on. I hate to say, this is during, my friend who was a judge and I got into it. We became fans of evangelical ministries. And we'd go travel. We'd go to these tent revivals. And I didn't have, again, another religious thing, but I didn't believe it. I mean, it didn't matter what so I was in that group.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
That's nothing. David Paul's still the best. Ernest Angley. So what I'm saying is I love the fact, so what we're doing right now, you know what we're doing? This is a group you're in. This isn't just a radio show, but this is the overnight show. See, we've got so many of our people who call up, and you'll know them if you've just tuned in. You'll know who I'm talking about. People will be wondering, what language is this? Doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts.